Have you heard about the Christians? They have secret meetings where they eat the flesh of babies and have orgies. They plot to overthrow the government. They worship evil spirits and want to cause harm to the world. Now, of course, none of these statements are true, but they were real accusations waged against Christians in the early church to try to divide the community against them. Much like today, misinformation had the ability to spread and infect a community, and the more it spread, the more dangerous it became. In response, pastors and theologians like Justin Martyr, Tertullian, Origen, and Augustine wrote what were called apologies, literally a speech in one's defense in Greek, pointing out their accusers' errors and replacing it with more accurate information. These defenses were incredibly important in the protection of our faith at its earliest and most fragile state, and it's why apologetics has served such an important role throughout the history of our church. Even today, growing in my adult faith in a part of the country in which Catholicism is at best a minority and at worst the subject of hateful discrimination, I have found apologetics to be an amazing resource for Catholics to grasp our faith and to defend it when necessary. Our church truly would not exist in some places without it. And yet, like anything else, I also recognize that apologetics applied inappropriately can be quite damaging, not only to our relationship with others and our ability to evangelize, but also to our own faith. On the one hand, we have what might be best described as militant apologetics, a defense of our faith that's not so much interested in responding to misinformation with love and truth, as it is looking for opportunities to go to battle. In these cases, the focus is not on strengthening our faith so we're not weakened by attacks. It's actually training people to do the attacking, rousing zeal among the faithful by perpetuating an image of Protestants and atheists as an enemy that needs to be defeated and belittled. This sort of apologetics trains people to be on high alert, ultra-sensitive and defensive towards anything that could be a slight, and can perpetuate some distrust in others, always seeing ourselves as a victim to the outside world. This, naturally, is not what we want to strive for. Just as charity without truth is of no benefit, so too is truth without charity. It doesn't matter how right we are. If we use the truth to beat people down and divide the human family, we may be talking about the gospel, but we're not living it. And while this can definitely be damaging to our faith, it's also fairly easy to recognize and thus easy to correct. The second issue, however, is a bit more subtle and thus far more pervasive. Sometimes, apologetics conflates what makes us unique with what makes us important. What I mean by this is that if our focus is strictly on defending our faith, all of our attention is going to go to those things that make us different from others. Why would we defend things that we have in common? As a result, sometimes, and actually a lot of times, this means focusing our attention on those things lower on the hierarchy of truth than higher up. Take, for instance, the papacy. It is truly the only unique feature of our church that no other church has, and is thus a point of contention among other Christians. Personally, I'm very happy that we have a pope, and think that there's biblical basis for his office and a historical need for his ministry. I think all Catholics should know how to defend the papacy. Similarly, we have a different perspective than other Christians on things like the perpetual virginity of Mary, praying to the saints, infant baptism, clerical celibacy, papal infallibility, the real presence of the Eucharist, and a host of other things. It's very important to our faith that we know how to defend these things and speak intelligently about them. I am a big fan of this. The danger sometimes with apologetics is not what we study. This is often excellent. The danger is what we leave out, the central teachings that we actually have in common with other Christians. Where's the centrality of baptism and sharing in Christ's threefold ministry? Where's the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead and our part to play in that? Where's the mystery of the Trinity, a call to active discipleship, peace, justice, and charity in building up the kingdom of heaven? For most forms of apologetics, these questions are often left out because no one's attacking them. Among other Christian denominations, we have a fairly similar understanding of these things because they're kind of the essence of what it means to be a Christian. And that can pose a bit of a problem. If our focus is strictly on defending our faith, we might unintentionally forget to study the very essence of our faith. So, do these two issues mean that apologetics is fundamentally flawed and that we should avoid using it altogether? Absolutely not. Our church not only survives, but thrives all throughout the world because of the amazing work of men and women defending our faith through this method, and I think that it should continue to have a special place in our church. Where exactly that place is exactly and how central it becomes to our catechesis depends on the fruit that it produces. Does it encourage people to divide the human family by seeking an enemy and forgetting what's most essential about our faith? Or does it enable them to engage people in thoughtful conversations and grow in our own prayer? Apologetics done right is an absolute treasure of our faith, something that should be learned by all who believe. Let's just make sure we get it right.